Let's see. All right. We should be live. I'm live. Anybody jumps on, hey, that'll be great. If you are here, if you're watching, you're able to listen, able to hear, able to see, you want to make a comment in the chat, let me know that I'm coming through clear. That would be great. Other than that, I'm going to get started here in very shortly. This is me starting to do some live streams and just a new format that I'm trying out here. I'd like to get on, do a little bit more live streams, make myself a little bit more available for people. And today what I thought I would do is I would go over PulseX a little bit. Just a few of my thoughts on PulseX, on why I'm bullish on PulseX right now. And I think right now is a perfect time. You're early, you're in a great time. I believe that PulseX is going to do some phenomenal things. We're going to see some huge growth. We're going to see some great things happening with Pulse Chain and PulseX, the DEX, the main DEX on Pulse Chain, right? So, hey, if you got any comments, feel free, post them in the chat. If you got any questions, post them in the chat. See if I can get to them. Other than that, if I need to get to them afterwards, I'll do that as well. But hey, this is just a relaxed environment here, right? I'm fairly new at doing these live streams, so bear with me on this. And yeah, let's have some fun. Let's just relax. Let's just take it easy here, all right? No stress. Yeah. So what I want you to do, like I said, I'm going to go over, go over a few slides. Actually, I did a little bit of presentation here, and we're going to talk about PulseX. So I'll just bring that up here right away. All right. Okay. So excellent. Yeah, and if you want, hey, I'd appreciate it if you did. If you find value in this at all, right, make sure that you smash that like button. Hit the like button. Make a comment. That'd be great. Let's try and push this out there a little bit. We want to push out the content here for Pulse Chain. We want to push out the content for PulseX, right? People need to hear about this. This is truly a great project, a great blockchain. I absolutely believe so, right? It's a hidden gem. And, that's kind of the problem with PulseX and Pulse Chain is that it is, kind of a hidden chain, right? It is a hidden gem, right? Why is PulseX being gate capped? That's what I want to talk about. I want to talk about the truth. It's a hidden gem. It's being hidden. It's being suppressed. It is being gate capped. Now, what does that mean though, right? What does that mean to really be, to be gate capped, right? Well, first of all, let's start off. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Colin. I enjoy helping beginners, build high conviction portfolios using macro strategy, building conviction in your assets, in the cryptos that you are holding in your portfolio, right? And, building your portfolio the way that I teach in the Crypto Wealth Playbook. So I'm the author of the Crypto Wealth Playbook. It's not just like a book to read, but it is actually a playbook. It's a playbook that you can follow throughout the market cycle, right? It doesn't matter where you are in the market cycle. Pick up the book, pick up the playbook, start where you're at right there and play the full cycle. All right. I've learned a lot of lessons. I've learned a lot of things in crypto over the past few years, a lot of mistakes that I've made. And, and I documented that, recorded that throughout the book, and you could follow, don't have to make the same mistakes that I did. And so I learned a lot of the macro. I learned how liquidity is really controlling the market, and I follow that and I build my portfolio with conviction and with assets that I am convicted about. So such as PulseX, Pulse Chain, right? I've got conviction. I have conviction in the assets. I have conviction in these cryptos that when they're down, I don't worry. I don't sweat. I don't capitulate. What I do is I buy more. Why? Because I've got the conviction and I believe we've got something really strong, really valuable with Pulse Chain, with PulseX, And that's what it means to have conviction. And that's what I've done over the past couple of years. Since the sacrifices, I've actually just, I've built up my bag even more, right? I started with a certain amount at the sacrifice price. And as time has gone on, well, PulseX is down. It's crashed, right? So I look at that as an opportunity, and I just added to my bag with that. It's all I've been doing, right? And that's what I recommend people do. So if you have conviction in the assets that you have, you'll be able to hold. You'll be able to hold through tough times, bad times. In fact, you'll start to add more to your bags. And that's the idea. That's the objective of what you want to be doing, right? So what I'm going over here today, like I said, and what you're going to learn is you're going to learn a little bit about what, PulseX is. You're going to understand why it's being gatekept. I want to show you that. I want to show you why nobody's talking about this, right? And why this just may be the biggest opportunity right now in crypto, right? Absolutely. It could be a very huge opportunity, especially for those that don't have any yet, right? If you've been waiting and you've been on the sidelines, you've been wondering, well, when should I get some? Should I get some? Well, you're at the rock bottom right now. You're at the rock bottom prices. And so you're looking at this, you understand that this is such a huge opportunity. PulseX on Pulse Chain, this is the perfect timing for that. So thanks for hopping on here. Thanks for hopping on and watching this, watching this presentation, watching and joining in the live stream. If you have any questions, any comments, feel free, post them in the chat. See if I can get to them even throughout the presentation or after the presentation here. And we're talking about PulseX and why it is being gatekept and why I believe that is a huge opportunity right now in crypto. All right. So what is PulseX? PulseX is the Uniswap of Pulse Chain, right? Uniswap, first built, first DEX in decentralized finance, in DeFi on Ethereum, right? Well, PulseX is the Uniswap on Pulse Chain. In fact, it's a fork. It's a fork. Pulse Chain is a fork of Ethereum, and then PulseX is a fork of Uniswap V2 on Pulse Chain. All right. That's how that works. It's your decentralized exchange on Pulse Chain. Now, it has massive liquidity from the airdrop that originally happened. Now, right now, I mean, when you take a look at things, a lot of the liquidity on Pulse Chain and PulseX and that, it has dropped. It's got a huge amount of liquidity, but it is also dropped quite a bit over the past or over the recent several months. It really, especially over the past several months, throughout this past year or so, it has dropped, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. I believe there's a specific reason, and without mentioning any names, and you can draw your own conclusions to this, but I believe a lot of that is done on purpose. Okay. Now, with low liquidity in something like this, you're going to be able to see something pump really hard, right? That's why you got the volatility. And I know especially over the past few days, you look at this like, wow, look at PulseX. Wow, look at PLS. It's pumping up. It's doing really good. Oh, crap, man. Look at it's going down again now. What the heck, man? It's frustrating. Well, that's because there's a low liquidity that causes the volatility. All right. But that's okay. I believe a lot of that large liquidity is going to really flow back in to Pulse Chain, in these core coins now. All right. So PulseX also has low fees and fast swaps. This is the first DEX. It is the main DEX on Pulse Chain. All right. Richard Hart's creation here. So it's still going to have the number one effect on Pulse Chain. I believe that. Now, one of the unique things about PulseX is the buy and burn mechanism. All right. A lot of things, a lot of tokens, a lot of projects out there in crypto, they have a burn mechanism where they are burning. They've got the mechanics, they've got in the tokenomics where they're burning tokens, right? But PulseX is a little bit different, a little bit more advanced, a little bit better, being that there is actually a buy and burn. So every time there's transactions, right, on the DEX with the tokens buying, swapping, buying, selling, adding, removing liquidity, all of that sort of stuff, there is a portion of those fees from those transaction fees go to buying and then burning, buying the tokens and then burning the tokens. That's very unique. That's very powerful. All right. So over time, yes, it is being burnt. Now, I didn't write down the number, but there is a large amount of, what is it? I'm not going to go look it up right now, but I believe it was well over 4%, 4+%, I think it was, that was actually burnt. You can go look at that on PLS Burn, all right, plsburn.com, and you can check it out, how much, or even on gopulse.com, and you could see the amount that actually is being burnt or has already been burnt, all right? Okay, so hey, thanks for hopping on, you guys. Thanks for hopping on and checking out the stream here. If you wanted to smash that like button, let's push this out there a little bit. Let's get the word out about PulseX and the Pulse Chain projects here. We're in a perfect time here in the bull run. Things are really going to light up. Things are really going to take off, right? So PulseX, it is fully decentralized. It is a truly decentralized DEX. And sometimes people look at that and they're like, it kind of scares them a little bit because they look at the website and they're like, oh, I got to download something. I got to do this or that. It's like, well, what's this all about? It's because it's decentralized, guys. That's good. It's a good thing. But you don't have to download anything. You don't have to do anything. You just need to simply click your mouse on the DEX, on that icon that's there. Just click it and it goes right over to the swap, right over to being able to use the DEX, the app. All right. It's very simple. There's a lot of videos out there that are showing you that as well. Okay. Now, what is gatekeeping, and what does it really mean for gatekeeping? It's a little bit different in crypto. And when you hear this project's being gatekept, this is gatekeeping. It's being gatekept. Well, what does that really mean? Well, what it really means is this: it's the project is being suppressed. It's being pushed down. It's being held back. It's being hidden. Right. This is what it means to really be to gatekeep a project in crypto. It's just being hidden. That's all. All right. And so it's hidden. There's some strategic suppression. There's some hidden. It's being hidden on the listing sites, the ranking sites. It's being ignored by influencers, those large influencers out there, right? Those that do have large followings, getting on their streams, watching their videos. And I'm talking about hundreds of thousands of people. You get on and they've got thousands of people. They've got million subscribers, 100,000 subscribers, a lot of big influencers in crypto. They're ignoring it. They're ignoring Pulse Chain. There's a few of them that was, very interesting, before, as leading up with the sacrifice a few years ago, right? 2021 into 2022, there was some, Richard Hart was doing live streams. There was live streams. People were talking about it a little bit. They're like, hey, I think there's going to be some exciting things happening, right? But then eventually it just died off. And now people just refuse to talk about it, right? Is what was going on. And it's also being blocked by the exchanges. Now, all of this is going to change. All of this is going to change. It has to change, right? You can't keep something gatekept like this forever. You can't keep it gatekept like this for long. And that's why we are early with this, you guys. Okay. So there's no influencer coverage. One of the main things about being gatekept, right? Like I said, the big names, they're avoiding it. There was the Richard Hart legal drama. It scared them. Like, well, I don't want to be associated with this. Even though, you look at stuff like Solana and you look at XRP, you look at some of these other projects, and they had a lot of the same deal, the same situation with the SEC and the legal drama and all that, right? And it didn't really stop them. But there are already a lot of listings going on with that. Okay. But hey, all it is what it is here. It cannot remain this way. It won't remain. They're going to be talking about it. Influencers will be talking more and more about Pulse chain, PulseX, Hex, everything that's happening on this blockchain very, very soon. Absolutely. Okay. Now, there's no VCs, there's no affiliate hype, there's none of this, right? This is all part of being gate kept. Suppression is being suppressed on the ranking sites, right? Like I mentioned, going into this a little bit, CoinMarketCap, CoinGecko. Yeah, it's there. You could see it. It's listed. It's on CoinGecko. It's listed. It's on CoinMarketCap. You can go there and you can find it, but you got to search. You need to search and dig for them. And then it doesn't list. It doesn't show you the current correct market cap, right? It doesn't tell you the supply. It doesn't tell you any of that information. And it ranks it down like, I don't know what it's at, but ranking it down at like 500, ranking 500 or something like that, something ridiculous when it should be at the top, right? It should be at the top. And so it's being pushed down on CoinMarketCap, CoinGecko, taking forever to even get listed to begin with. But now that it is, it's just pushed right down. They did it first with Hex, doing it now with PLSX, right? And, there was a while there that it was not even listed on dexes, even like Uniswap. It was removed, Hex, right, when the illegal battles came out, and then it was put back on, right? So and that's supposed to be a decentralized exchange, right? Okay, so I'm gonna have to get hold on a second here. I have to get this here in a couple of minutes. Oops. Here, okay. So yeah, you got to search for it manually. And like I said, it's not even showing up correctly. You've got no exchange listings, right? None of these exchanges, there's no exchanges like actual on-ramp, off-ramp, these big, huge exchanges. They're not listing it, such as Binance, Coinbase, KuCoin, right? I got only tradable on PulseX, but I mean, it's only tradable on, dexes that are on Pulse chain, really. Okay, so you can go to the other dexes that are on Pulse chain. You could trade for PLSX on Pulse chain, but you can't go to an exchange. You can't go to these centralized exchanges. All of that is not there. It's not there yet, right? So you're early that way. You're early that way. It will be, like I said, it will be. They have to. They will eventually. And, we could almost put out a poll, right? And, put out a poll. In fact, what do you think? I think that I'm thinking that the first exchange is going to be Binance. It'll probably be Binance that will list it. I hope so. And, I think it will, because there's a similar story with Binance, right? When it comes to BNB, there's a similar story with BNB with PLSX, okay, that hopefully it will be listed there first, and then Coinbase and KuCoin, or maybe KuCoin and then Coinbase and then whatever other exchanges, right? Okay. So another part of being gate kept is being removed. And this happened a little while ago, not too long ago. And I know this really ticked off a lot of people in the community, in the PulseX and Pulse Chain community, right? Is being removed from DBank and Rabby. And that's a shame. That's such a shame. That was really frustrating, because, we're searching and we're looking for other, wallet address tracking portfolios that we could watch all of our assets and stuff like that. DBank is very handy. DBank was really nice. Rabby wallet, you get a Rabby wallet, because who really wants to use MetaMask these days, right? But you get Rabby wallet, and then everything was loaded in there, looking really nice, organized, all of your assets right away, getting onto the next blockchain, wherever you're at, it's connecting to that blockchain, just it's sensing the DEX that you're on, and that it was really nice using Rabby. Okay, I stopped using Rabby because it's not holding or showing all my Pulse chain assets, right? Hopefully it'll start again. Hopefully they'll go back and they'll start listing and start using Rabby and using, DBank and Rabby. They're the same guys, right? So hopefully they go back and they start listing and integrating PulseX or Pulse chain tokens on there, right? So this is all part of being gatekept, is trying to hide it from the average people, trying to hide it from people is what they're doing by gatekeeping PulseX and PLS token, all the Pulse chain stuff, right? So DBank, Rabby is supposed to be completely all EVM compatible, but they're not doing this. They're not allowing, Pulse chain tokens. It's, there's no technical reason for the exclusion. They're all EVM compatible, yet they are being omitted and removed. And this creates the perception of it being illegitimate, right? Not being legal, not being good, especially with what was going on, recently with Richard Hart in the legal battles and all of that, right? So, that kind of sucks. And that's the thing is, with the legal battles, people say, even for example, I was reading the other day, this came up on Coinly. I use Coinly, right? And someone wrote, or one of the Coinly people, I think it was, I can't remember who it was. They wrote an article on Pulse Chain, on PLSX and Hex and Richard Hart and that, right? And they're talking about this, and they mentioned that, but they did mention like there's no longer the lawsuit. SEC dropped the lawsuit, is what they mentioned, but which is wrong, right? And we know that. Hopefully, you know that. You see, the SEC didn't drop the lawsuit. They lost. They lost the lawsuit, right? Richard Hart beat them. Richard Hart beat the SEC in that lawsuit. And that's the good thing. That's powerful, you guys. That's a big win for crypto. But that story, that truth itself is also being gatekept. It's pushed down. It's not brought up. It's the truth that's not being revealed for people, right? Okay. So that's another point. Now, I want to briefly touch on this. Like I said, that's why I say this is why I think, hopefully, potentially, it will be Binance that will list PLSX and PLS and Hex and all of these, all the whole ecosystem, or the Richard Hart core tokens and that will list it first, because Binance are a similar story, right? With Binance and the BNB token, right? BNB, when it first launched in 2017, it launched as an ERC20 token, just a token on the Ethereum blockchain. Okay, now, as well, when it was there was some fee discounts on Binance, I guess, right? There was no hype, there was no killer app. It was criticized for being centralized and useless. Okay, so all of this attack on the BNB token, that's what was all going on with the BNB token. Very similar, right? It was dismissed. The BNB token, we're still on here, right? It was being dismissed by the crypto world. It was ignored by influencers and on Reddit, YouTube, Reddit, Twitter. It was being ignored. It was called a centralized garbage, right? BNB token. What good is it? No good. It wasn't featured on any top altcoin lists. It was seen as irrelevant in the early cycles. Well, yeah, the last two cycles. Well, 2017 cycle, right? Seen as being irrelevant. Things changed, though. Things changed in the next cycle, 2020 cycle, right? In 2020, when the BNB chain launched as the BSC, the Binance Smart Chain, when it launched in 2020, the BNB token became a gas token like ETH did. So it started to pick up more ground, pick up more momentum with more utility that way, right? It gained true utility on the network is what happened. The BNB price, it started to go in 2020, $15, and then up to $690 plus. 45x gain in less than 18 months for the BNB token. And I remember that. I remember watching that last market cycle. I didn't get it. I didn't have it. It was too late. I'm not buying. I don't remember saying that. I remember it was like, what was it? It was over $50, less than $100. Now, and even myself, I mean, I was still, learning lots about crypto, learning lots about all this stuff myself, even. But I remember looking at that, and because people were talking about it a lot back then, I was just like, it's too high. That's when I started learning. Yeah, it's too high. It's too high. But then it kept going. It kept going. It kept going. I was like, wow, crazy, And that's what I think we're going to see as well with the PLSX token and PLS token, right? We're going to see that. We're going to see that happening here. Like, yeah, it's getting up there. It's going to keep on going. It's going to go. It's going to go. It's going to go. It's going to go, right? So this is what happened with the BNB token. 45x gains in less than 18 months after being ignored, pushed down, gate kept. Similar story as PLSX, right? That's why I say this is very similar. It's a similar story with PulseX. All right, PulseX. The difference, though, is PulseX has real volume. There's real volume on Pulse Chain, real volume on the DEX with PulseX, right? The supply is being burned daily. Like I mentioned, not just burning some tokens, but through all the transactions with the transaction fees, a small percentage of that is going to buying and burning the tokens, right? Not just a burn, but a buy and burn every time there's a transaction on PulseX, adding, removing liquidity, even on PulseX V1 in those pools, right? Those yield farms, you can farm it, but farm the ink token on V1, that's still going to burn all the fees. V2, no, but V1, that's still, and people are using that. And okay, the rewards are lower right now, but they'll pick up again. And all those are going to buy and burn, right? And same with all the trading, whatever the tokens, all on the exchange, buy and burn from those fees. Powerful stuff, you guys. All right. The ecosystem, the adoption with the ecosystem, Pulse Chain, PulseX, it's growing. It's growing, and it's going to grow fast. It's going to go up there, and people are going to miss it. But you're early. We're early. That's why I say this is early times, just like the times with BNB. This is early times with this. It's being ignored. But now, like I said, now may be the setup. Now might just be your time. The best time, especially if you haven't got. I mean, there are those of us that are been around for a while, and we sacrificed for PLSX and PLS, right? And it's been a long time, and there's a lot of frustration, right? But the prices are so low. We had to. The only way we were able to get our prices down, our average cost for these tokens, is by DCing all the way through this depression when people are afraid and fearful of what's going on. Myself, and I know a lot of other people in the Pulse ecosystem, Pulse Chain community, have been buying and adding to our bags and bringing our price down. What? Look at where we're at right now. If you're new, hey, lucky you. Excellent. Good timing. A little bit jealous, a little bit envy, I guess, right? Well, not really. I mean, but just saying, you've got a great opportunity here. Buy in at like, what is PLSX token? Like, it's still like 1920. I mean, I don't know how many zero. What is that, like 0.0000 0, 0, 0, 0. I saw a lot of zeros still in front of that 1 and 9, or that 2, right? Anyways, 5 of them, right? Or 4 or 5. Anyways, it's dirt cheap, guys. You're early. Very cheap for high value. That's what this is, right? Oh my goodness. Hold on a second here. Okay. Pause this. Oh. Come on. Hold on. Okay. All right. I take care of something here. So yeah, that's why I'm super bullish. We're early. Things are going to do very well. Hex did 10,000x, right? Are you just hoping for a 3x? You're hoping just to get back to maybe sacrifice price with PLSX, PLS? I don't think so, right? We're going further. We're going higher. We're going to do very well. I ain't no guarantees here, right, guys? But I tell you, you think that, okay, Hex, you're going to measure from the, it's going to do the, how you can see this on the screen, but it's going to go drop down and then go up and do that 10,000x, right? And you think that, well, Pulse Chain there and PulseX, like, well, okay, didn't do right. So let's go over here. Maybe we get a couple X. I don't think so. I think it's going to surpass it. It's going to do very well. I'm not going to give any price targets or anything like that or how many X's, but I'm not going to, but I believe, fasten your seatbelts, guys. I think we're going to be in for something really good here. Okay. Especially at these bottom prices, right? That's why I'm saying you're early. BNB was ignored and then it exploded. You're early for this right now. Excellent timing. These are some of the things that you can watch for, over the coming weeks, months, couple years, whatever it is. Whether all this happens this cycle, this year in 2025 or not, these are some of the things that we're watching for. Now, hey, a lot of this stuff potentially will be happening this cycle, this year, 2025, 2026. We can be in an extended cycle throughout 2026 when that happens. Until then, I'm playing the game. I'm playing this cycle. I'm playing it the way it's always been played out. And I'm looking at the signals. I'm looking at the indicators. I'm looking at the macro signals when I'm looking at the markets. I'm looking at what's happening here. All right. I'm not going to be the moon guy that's going to tell you that we're in an extended cycle and we're going to keep on going and going and going and going. Right. When everybody's talking about that, I'm prepared that it's top signals type of thing, right? But until then, I'm just going to play it the way it is, okay? But some of the things that we're looking at is we're going to be looking at the correct market cap ranking. Like I said, it's going to have to happen. They can't just keep things down like that for the full time, right? Forever. Why? What's the point? You know what I mean? Why do you keep doing that? All right, you got your hate on, you're a little bit frustrated, you're a little bit jealous. I don't know what the story is, but it's not going to be like that forever. So we'll be watching for the correct market cap rankings on CoinMarketCap, on CoinGecko, on these sites. Things will be corrected, right? We're going to look for the first SEX listing, the first centralized exchange listing, right? And whether it be Binance, Coinbase, KuCoin, I don't know, probably Binance, right? That's what I'm thinking. Okay. So, we're going to be watching for that. We're going to start to see more and more influencers start to talk about it. It's going to come up. We're going to notice that. We're going to see that. We're going to see the ecosystem grow. We're going to see a lot of this stuff. We're going to see happen within the next few months. I believe that Richard Hart start to deploy his ETH war chest. No guarantees. I don't know. Is he not? Is it going to happen? Is it not going to happen? I don't know the answers to that, right? Be prepared either way. Very high potential that, a lot of that will happen. It's the narrative in the Pulse Chain community, all right? So we're going to be looking for that. Another thing that you can be doing here, hey, let me now bring this up. I hope you found value in, what I've been talking about here with PulseX, my new what do you call this, new style, new way, getting on here, doing a live stream, going through some slides. But I've also have the crypto wealth playbook, right? Yeah, I've got a link for that down below in the description, right? You can check it out. It's a playbook. This is what it is. It's a playbook. It doesn't matter where you are in the market cycle. You can grab the playbook. You can go through the playbook. You can, if you're at the end of the market, if you're at the top of the market, well, we're not now, right? But I'm saying if you're at the top of the market, you just take it and you start to learn about being there and what you need to do over the next little while and preparing for the next cycle in that, right? That's where your wealth is going to be built. But it's all about really, it's all about knowing how to build a conviction-based portfolio, how to know when to exit, take profits, how to and when to rotate back into, for example, Bitcoin, your strong alts, then into your micro, your real high risk altcoins and stuff like that. Exiting, how to exit them, how to enter them, all sorts of stuff. It's just, so a lot of the lessons in that I learned in crypto, and then really learning about the macro cycle, right? Macro and building a conviction-based portfolio. That's really what my crypto wealth playbook is about, right? I've also got a checklist, a free beginner's checklist that goes through 9 essential steps. Link for that is down below in the description as well, right? If you want to go, I'd encourage you to check it out, right? Check out the free checklist. Check out the crypto wealth playbook, and hopefully you found some good value in this live stream. If you haven't already, make sure you click that like button, give me a like, let me know what your thoughts are by giving me a comment in the comments. And if you're not yet subscribed, well, hey, make sure you click subscribe. I got some more of this content coming out, and hopefully I'll come back here. I'll be doing some more streams. This is where we can connect. This is where, I'll come on out, make myself available for you guys, right? So, yeah. Any other comments, any other questions, feel free to post them. That was my presentation on PulseX and why I am super bullish right now on PulseX. All right. And I'm going to have to jump off here right away. But it's been good chatting and going through PulseX here today with you. Let's see here. All right. Excellent. Have a great day. Bye for now.